Hey everybody, thank you for coming with me, Coach Henry, on another episode of Positive Traction. And I am just so thankful to the amount of people that I've been able to get to know and to share with you guys. And today, this guy, I'll just start with this. His nickname is Making Things Happen. Otherwise, everyone knows you as
Darsh Parikh.
Awesome. Who are you? Tell everybody who you are.
Just a normal guy. I've been in real estate for a little over 10 years. I work with my wife. She's on the back end operations, but she does 90% of the work.
Smart move, smart move. You hear this? You hear this, wifey? Okay.
Yes. I give her a lot of credit. She keeps me sane. She keeps things flowing. Plus, we have a 2-year-old baby, my son Zane, who's turning 2 in July. And when I got into real estate, it was just about helping people achieve their dreams and getting them into beautiful homes. And it just kind of took off for me after COVID. And I started working with a lot of developers, investors, and real estate is everything for me. I eat, breathe, sleep real estate. Like it's completely my passion, and I don't even look at it like a work or anything. Truly enjoy it from the time I wake up to the time I sleep. And that's me. I'm in real estate, investor, real estate agent, work with a lot of developers, builders, investors, and truly love selling and helping my clients achieve their dreams.
I love it. Well, that's a beautiful intro that's sincere. Can you give a shout out to who you do business? Like, where's your house at? Your business house?
I live in Brentwood. It's in central Austin, and majority of my clients, I would say 90% of my business comes from builders and developers.
Yeah.
And some of my top clients are Brownstone Capital Investments, Mopac Builders. Work with a couple doctors that turn into part-time developers,
Yeah.
but they're doing large-scale businesses. And I also coordinate a lot of work with architects, designers, just kind of like, picking their brains on what we can do that's going to be the best outcome for my clients. But yeah, I'm in the new construction phase and truly enjoy it and loving it.
I love it. Well, Darsh, look, I thank you for being on the show. Truly, we've had built a relationship through Brownstone, and obviously also built a friendship, and that's really to me the essence of our business. I know you and I are a lot alike in the aspect of relationships. Our word means a lot. So when we refer people, it's not just because it makes money sense, or even if it does, it's truly the best match for the other person. So I want to get into a couple things with you so that people get to understand. So the goal of this podcast for me is to help people relate to things that they go through in life with the guests that I have on this show. So let's back it up. And also, everybody knows the guests never know what I'm going to talk about. The only thing they know is introduce themselves. And I do that because it's organic. I have basic questions that I love to engage with people, but I also want it as real and genuine. Because I think, listen, I need to talk about your success for a moment, because it does give credibility to your humbleness even more. So out of over 20,000 agents this year in Austin, correct? Is that the right number? You hit number 18. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, that's amazing, and you should be proud of that. So now that we created that you are the real deal, and on behalf of Brownstone, you do make things happen. So thank you. But now let's break it down to a little bit about you and your story. Where were you born?
Mumbai, India. I lived there until I was 13. I moved to United States in 2002. My dad came here with literally $600 in his pocket and a dream. My mom, my dad, and I landed in Dallas, Texas, and then we ended up being in Omaha, Nebraska, where my dad started working for my uncle in a jewelry store in the mall. Like you see a lot of those kiosks. Being a business-minded individual, he couldn't cut it for a job, and he eventually started his own business. So he started opening up his own stores. So since I was, 14, basically, I've been working with him in the business. I've sold everything in my life, from dog tags to purses to gold teeth, Done it all. Like,
Wow.
sales, it's been in my blood since 14, and I've been in the business world since 14. So I've seen lots of ups and downs, lots of failures, lots of successes, more failures than successes, but that's what made me who I am today.
Right. And I want to back to that. So, because I always try to give people a visual, Darsh. Look, you came into this country at what age?
13.
13. How was your English?
Okay. I mean, in India, we had the option to be in English medium school, and I was in that. So, and my mom was a teacher, so like my English, like speaking and writing, was pretty decent.
And that's
But
great. Because you
yeah,
came over here, of all places, Texas, Dallas, where English is strong, right? Good
yes,
old, good. So I like to give people, so now you're at 14 years old, 13, 14. You're in a brand new country.
yeah,
Your dad's hustling. So your visuals, of course, what he did in India, but he came over here with the American dream. And I bring that because, if people that know you now, you hit number 18, you work really hard, you're successful, but a lot of those successes, I'd like to talk about your failures because see, everyone is so scared about failing, right? And I love that. One of the old school motivational speakers used to always say, failure is the path of what not to do, but keep going forward.
yeah,
Right. And that's the beauty of that because everyone thinks entrepreneurship is so easy.
yeah.
It's just those that are willing to write it out. So now you're at 13, 14 in Dallas and you sold everything. So now, fast forward, you also had a government job for a while.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that mindset because you went from selling, stability, and then you jumped. So just tell us briefly about that stability for a moment.
Yeah, so my dad always wanted me to get a job after college because he had seen so many failures and his life was so inconsistent in terms of income and just instability. One month he would make money and another month he wouldn't
Yeah.
make money. So
Yeah.
he didn't want me to go through that. So he's like, get a job, establish yourself, and then you can think about doing a business. So I started working with government when I was 21, right out of college. I worked with them for 12 years. The turning point of my life was we had this internal program with the government. It was for like management development program, and I interviewed in front of like 12 executives, and I didn't do well. It was the biggest like failure in terms of my interview. I'm usually pretty good, but I failed miserably, and I was pretty bummed about it. I came home and I told my wife, I was like, this didn't go well. I'm not going to get selected. And I did not. But because I didn't get selected, I chose to become a real estate agent.
Get a little closer. No, you can pull it up. Is that good sound? Okay.
That's one of the reasons why I started real estate because I was like, because that program was kind of like an opportunity to move up and kind of like, increase my income. And that didn't happen. So I was like, I got to do something else.
Right.
Before even going to real estate, I used to walk dogs. I used to do babysitting. I did everything I could have. I just wanted to do something on the side to bring in extra income for my family. And eventually it led me into real estate. And I became real estate agent on March 1st, 2020. COVID hit and I was like, this is the worst time to become an agent. Everything's shutting down.
So I'm going to back you up real quick because again, I want to amplify what you've been through because I feel like I want to remind you of what you were saying. You had something at that point. You knew something had to change.
Yeah.
You were excited about the opportunity. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Of course, you went through the process. And I always tell people, you need to feel it, sad, angry, cry, laugh. You have to feel that. But what you did is this is what separates you, Darsh. What you were able to do is say, I got to do something for my family. You're doing the dog walking, you're doing whatever it takes. You're making dollars upon your value of time. But at that moment, and then you went into real estate you didn't know, but that time COVID was coming around the corner.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the world comes to a halt. And here you are you left a cushy job, at least that you knew there's a paycheck coming.
Yeah.
And now, and I share this because not only is it a tremendous accomplishment, but it's also about you and your wife coming together and saying, we cannot fail. There is no retreat. Right. There is no plan B. We got to make this work. Yeah. So please continue.
Yeah. So, it was a disappointment for me. My wife was like, things happen. You didn't prepare yourself, and I did not. I took it lightly, and so yeah, I cried, and I was like, I'm letting my family down because that was my opportunity to move up. And again, I started experimenting a lot of different side hustles, right, to bring in the money, and real estate kind of clicked to me. I became an agent in March 2020. So funny thing about that is like before I even became an agent, I was showing a client houses around town that I'd met an investor group, and he didn't know I wasn't an agent.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but I would show him houses during open houses because
No,
I didn't have access.
You know what? You were just hustling. You didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So I want people to hear this again, guys. He wasn't quite there yet,
Yeah.
but he was walking the path. And I want you to understand, because those of you that see this and hear this, is when you think that it has to be perfect, it doesn't. What Darsh does amazing, and we talk about this in the show, is he is stepping. So now you are showing things around. Technically speaking,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not even a licensed agent yet. I mean, I'm still going through the exams, and this guy, very cool, young guy, we just connected, and he's like, I want to see this house, I want to see that house, and I would strategically plan our tour depending on where the open houses are going to be. So we would walk in right when the open houses started. And luckily, we saw 15, 18 houses, and he liked one, and then after a few days, he's like, I'm ready to move forward. And the day he said that, I got my license officially.
Wow.
If he had said to me 24 hours prior to that, I would have been like, let's just wait another 24 hours. So again, I wanted to get into it because I didn't want to wait until I had my license. I want to get my feet wet.
There you go.
Understand, what other agents are doing. So, I would go to open houses, just ask questions to agents. Like I would pick different pockets. I would look at different experiences of different agents who've been in the business for 20 years, who've been successful. So I studied a lot about these successful agents, what made them successful.
Yeah.
And I just kind of absorbed it as a sponge. I was like, okay, this is something I want to learn from this guy. This is something I want to learn from this lady who's been in this business. So just kept absorbing. So by the time I became an agent, I was pretty familiar with a lot of different neighborhoods, and it just helped my clients.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. I love that story because look, for me, not to be corny with the show, Positive Traction, we live that, right? You have to keep moving forward. And what you did was you were hustling, but you also, I think what I'm getting from you also is you didn't prepare, you took it lightly to that exam. Your wife called you out and you're like, you're right, I took it lightly. But see, that again, turned the right way. You now prepared. Now you're going after the best agents. What do they do? What are their secrets? What are the things? And now people are coming to you, trying to find out what your secrets are, which is awesome. So now I want to shift gears to one of the moments, because I think in every entrepreneur's life, there's a moment, and that you shared a pivoting point. But what is one of the hardest moments for you? And it could have been when you were younger, it could have been in India, that you really feel like you questioned a lot about the direction of life for you. And I say that, and I want to bring you there because I think it's so important to remind ourselves that we can get through hard times. And it's good to remember them sometimes, just not reside there.
Yeah.
So does anything pop out to you?
Yeah. So the biggest thing was when we moved to US, we were in Dallas for like a week and then ended up being in Omaha, Nebraska, right within a week of moving to US because my uncle was there for my dad's job. And Omaha, Nebraska, very conservative, not a whole lot of diversity. And I started as a ninth grade, second semester, and 9/11 had just happened. And so there was a lot of anxiety, and I don't blame high school kids back then. There's a lot of stereotyping that, hey,
Sure.
he's part of, you know what I mean? I would get call names. It was very difficult in high school to even like sit down for lunches. Like they would just literally insult me and make me feel like I'm a different person. So I would eat lunches by myself. I would try to stay away from the crowd because I didn't want to be part of the insult and those 3.5 years were pretty tough. Just going through that phase, especially when you're 13 to 18. Like, that's a
course.
very critical age, but I just knew that this was just a phase, and we're here for a reason. We have a goal that I need to achieve and take care of my parents. And so I just kept pushing, and eventually I graduated high school and went to Creighton University for my undergrad. Did my accounting and finance there. Met a lot of great friends that I used to study with, and things started changing from there. People started to accept me more, and that was kind of the turning point of my life. But yeah, high school was tough. I used to question myself, like, why am I here?
Sure.
I left all my friends in India, and it was just a really difficult phase. But I don't really take that as why did that happen to me? I take that as, okay, it happened to me, but I adjusted, I was resilient, and I kept pushing, and that's why I am who I am today.
I love that, and I appreciate you sharing that. And see, when I ask guests that question, almost no one hesitates. They know. You knew. I mean, there was no you pondering. You knew exactly that moment. And I appreciate you letting me take you back there. And I take you back there, Darsh, because look, America is phenomenal, the land of opportunity. People aren't saying, hey, I'm going to run to this country, that country.
Yeah.
They come to America. Now, obviously, America, like any other country, has its problems. It has its politics. It has all the things that go with it. However, it's what you make of it, right? You, at some of the most critical times from 13 to 18, you were bullied, you were criticized for no fault of yours. Now, you could have turned many different ways. Instead, the man that I've known for the last couple of years, you've turned out to be a great dad, a great husband, a great friend, a great business person. And I want people to take away from that we can be victims or we can be victors. Doesn't mean it's always perfect. You shared a part of your life that was difficult. But again, that humbleness has kept you humble. That's kept you driven. So I appreciate that. Now let's talk about a highlight. Let's talk about a highlight, not in business so much, unless you really feel that. In over the last decade, what is something that helped you confirm you were on the right path of life? Not so much business, and maybe so, but something that sticks out to you the opposite way that you feel is kept you moving along. Because I know for me, I have different things that I move, and then when I see something, I go, that's a confirmation I'm on the right path, and I'm not going to give up.
Yeah. Well, there are three parts. The biggest one for me has always been taking care of my parents, because they moved here when they were 40, not knowing anything and starting from scratch. As an individual, when you're living in India for 40 years of all your family, friends, and then you move to US just for your son, for his career, that's a pretty big sacrifice. So I wanted to make sure I would take care of my parents. In 2012, I got him a one-way ticket to India, and I was like, you guys move back home. I'll take care of you guys, whatever you need financially. And, my dad had established himself, and he had some investments and stuff, but I sent him back home. And to me, that was the ultimate flex. When people talk about flex, they talk about Ferraris and fancy jewelry. To me, retiring my parents and taking care of them, to me, that was a ultimate satisfaction.
Absolutely.
So that was a huge one for me, seeing them happy, seeing them back home with their family and friends. That was a big thing for me. And then I got married in 2017. That was a big moment for me. My wife, who fully supports me with everything that I do. Obviously, we've had our ups and downs, but she's always been there for me, and she looks up to me, and she's always by my side. And again, that's a big one for me as well. And then in 2022, my son was born, Zane, and there's no feeling like it's an ultimate feeling, and I want to keep pushing for those four people, if not even for me. I want them to be happy. I want them to feel like they're safe, stable, and I'll do anything I can, even have to work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and I'll do that for them. So family, again, coming back to the family, and that's where it really drives me.
And I love that. I love, again, that you had an easy answer of three parts. And I encourage you and I support you in that, because I think that, look, at the end of the day, I always tell people, if you won the lottery, a good individual, first thing they're going to do is contact their family and take care of their family, right? So this is your way of a lottery. You said that was a great flex to be able to do that for your parents, especially what they sacrifice. Because you now as a father can go, man, let's just say it was the other way around. I'm going to go to India to give Zane a better life, for example, and I don't know anybody, I don't have that much money, but Zane. So that's a lot of credit that you now as a dad, even though in 2012, which is 12 years ago, you know, you were already able to identify that. So I love that. Now let's jump to your business. One of the things that some of the listeners, is I want them to be able to relate to some practical steps that they can apply. So what do you feel for you keeps that? Your family is number one, but what are some practical things that have, you know, as you started learning this business that you would say, if you had to do 2 or 3 tips that you apply that someone else can take from you, what would those kind of be? Yeah. It doesn't have to be real estate specifically, but those are the traits or skill sets that have helped you. So I have a couple that I'll share after you share.
Sure. First of all, the term real estate agent has a kind of a bad rep because the barriers to entry is pretty low. Anybody and anyone can become a real estate agent, and you know, so people kind of take that job kind of lightly. And I just want to remind buyers, investors, sellers that it's a tough job. You know, we go through so many people in and out, like different types of buyers, sellers, and there's a lot of work that goes in besides just listing the property in MLS and waiting for offers to come in. It used to happen when the market was hot. Now it does not happen. To me, the 2 biggest things is like, you know, number 1 is value. Like, if I can provide you value, you're going to work with me. I don't need to force you to work with me. I don't need to force you to sign an agreement with me. If you see that, hey, this guy has my best interest and he's going to do the right thing, the business comes naturally.
So I want to stop you there because I love that answer so far because no one speaks about that. In fact, all the guests I've had so far on the show, no one has really identified that first trait. And I agree with you 100% on that. Someone had said something, I go, well, you can't put a price to something that you don't understand its value, right? I can offer you a trip to the Mojave Desert for free, and you can go tomorrow, and you're like, well, it sounds great. It's a $10,000 trip, but I have no interest to go to Mojave Desert, right? So the value is insignificant because the value has nothing for you. So whether it's free or the $10,000 now compared to someone that loves the Mojave Desert. Yeah. So I love that you talked about value because firsthand I can vouch for that. You create value to your client or whoever you're doing with, as they're saying, wait a minute, I want to be with Darsh because I feel that he sees me and he has my best interest at heart. So I love that. So value is number 1. What's another one that you feel?
Number 2 to me is knowledge about the market and the industry. So just for example, if Daniel comes in and says, hey, somebody's brought me this deal, what do you think about it? And before, I don't just look at comps. I go walk the lot. I look at the trees. I look at the flood zone. I'll read the deed restrictions and come up with my analysis saying, okay, these are the issues and this is what we need to deal with. And these are the numbers. 9 out of 10 times, like not just Daniel, but like other developers, I turn down a lot of the deals, even though I'm going to get a commission on the exit side when the property is done. But by analyzing the deal and telling them the issues and what we need to go through, I think that builds the trust. Yeah. And once you build that trust, they don't go away because they know I have their best interest. So like just understanding the market and what can be built, I think that knowledge itself, just understanding, analyzing, that holds a lot of weight.
Again, I love that answer truly because knowledge is great, but what you do, Darsh, is you apply that knowledge. And I tell people the difference to me, people, oh, they're educated. That's great. Credit to the education. But when you apply education, when you apply knowledge, it changes the game. And you're right, you become a student of your craft. And therefore you take that with value, and that's why I feel some of the reasons you've been so successful and will only continue to grow because you create a value, you become, and I also firsthand have seen you say, no, I'm not the best person for that. You also know what is your wheelhouse, right? Too many people say yes to everything, but then they try to become the master of it all, and you can't.
No.
And then when you really master the things that you're great at, yes, you might have people that you can relate to, you might have people that you can pass on, or any of the above, but it has to be that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I think that's really special for you to be able to share those things on that part. So now that you've kind of created value, you've created knowledge, and you kind of created your why. Your why is your family. So how does that look for you? How have you packaged that now to the Darshes today? That just hit number 18 out of over 20,000 agents. You have all kinds of things in the works, yet I see you being intentful and humble. So how does that now look to the 13, 14-year-old Darsh that came to this country? How does that, if he was sitting here looking at you, how does that look to him?
Honestly, like awards and stats, all that stuff doesn't really matter to me much. The biggest thing for me, like going forward, is like we have a small team now. We have about 4 agents. My goal is really like to share the knowledge and help them grow. So we do a lot of co-listings with different builders where I want them to get that hands-on experience. So it's not just me. I want to share what I know and help them grow and develop.
Yep.
So to me, that's my next step, become a better leader, bring people together, share my knowledge, share my experience. And again, as my son gets older and he sees what I'm doing, he's going to understand that it's not just about the money. It's about to make a difference, to make the world a better place, and just do the right thing.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. And again, I think I have my blessed to bless hat on. I believe I do. Yes.
Yes, you do.
So I love when people ask me, well, number one, if they get it, they get it. I get thumbs up. I get whatever. Those that don't get it go, hey, and I had someone the other day at the airport. That's why I love wearing, they go, hey, can I ask, what do you mean by that? I go, oh, thank you for asking. I said, I believe that the better you are to yourself in a non-selfish way is the better I can be for others.
Yep.
And then we had a conversation. Go, what do you mean? I go, well, I used to think, let me make it all better for everybody else, and then I'll take leftovers. But then, let's use the cup analogy. I'm pouring in everybody's cup. Now my cup's almost empty. How good am I going to be when I get hit with a challenge, a storm, an obstacle, let alone blessings that come my way? I'm not going to be able to take them.
Yeah.
But if I fill my cup up first, not selfishly, but I always say the airplane analogy, right? First thing they say, the mask drops, put it over your ears, then over Zane. Because if you're passed out, you're not going to help Zane.
Yeah.
Right? But that simple analogy to me changed it.
Yeah.
Because the better you are, is what you're saying. You now you're always learning, always growing, of course. But now you have a small team that's working alongside you. You are now helping others change their lives financially, giving opportunities to them. And I'm with you. And that's why I love wearing this hat, because for me, with this podcast, I'm hoping that people listen wherever they are. They're number 1 agent or number 25,000. They're not even on the map, but it's not stopping, right? Yep. So I love that. So now I want to give you an opportunity. One of the things I added to this season is where you can ask me any question. I don't know what you're going to ask me.
Yeah.
So you can ask me any question about anything, and then I have 2 more for you.
Sure. Well, I think I've asked you this before, like kind of spacing out the time that you always like set aside a couple hours a day with no phone calls, nothing. You just focus on what you need to do to get what you need to accomplish. Can you talk about that? Because I think, I have a lot on my plate with my family, business. How do you really manage to kind of space out from everything and just focus on what you need to do? I think I need to do that more.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. Well, it came up for me. I do my 3 Ps, I call it. My plan, pray, and proceed. If people don't pray, they can meditate, whatever. The middle part, so I have a plan, right? Like today we had a plan. I have a plan for the guest and all that. And then I pray over it so it goes smooth and everyone's blessed by it. We have a good time. And then I proceed. But see, the proceed part is the key. I learned business the opposite way. I didn't have the formal education, so my business, as they say, was all street value, right? So it's a tough one, right? No different than college. They're both tough in their own ways. Yeah. So I learned to live really well in the audible world, where I'd go with the flow. But preparation wasn't my strong suit. So at some point in my life, I was able to combine and switch to better preparation. So the audibles were less. So I feel, to answer your question directly, all that led to that. So when I look at my week, I do what's called a 4-2-1. I do a 4 is always 1 month overview of the entire month. I then do a 2-week forecast and a 1-week detail. It allows me to forecast going backwards. So then I value my time, and I'm very careful to your question of who comes into it. So for example, today I have an hour and a half to the question you asked me where I'm completely away from everybody. In that time, I do one of 3 things. And this isn't my workout. This is just strictly quiet time. Writing things for the show, doing vision things for Brownstone, whatever that is, I protect that time. So I think the simple answer is I respect my boundaries. That's what it boils down to. Boundaries including to myself. So when I have today from 1 to 2:30, that is my quiet time, and I usually know what I need to do in that time, I stick to it.
Yeah.
So I can be intentful. So when I meet for you off, we're having lunch, I'm there with you.
Yeah.
And I also communicate well. So let's say I have to take a call in that hour with you. I let you know before I sit down.
Yeah.
This way, it's not me keep looking at my phone. Oh, sorry, I have a call coming in. Because I'm not present. But if I go, hey, Darsh, I have a timer that's going to go off in 15 minutes. And I got to take a call for just 3 minutes and we're back on. So what that does is now I've taken the anxiety out of the situation. I've respected your time by letting you know there's just something that crossed over. So that's how I keep structure in my time. And I don't make people feel that they're not important. Because I know I don't like feeling that way. So I do my best to just be respectful of that.
Right.
So did that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And I've tried that and haven't been fully successful, but I'm getting there. I just get distracted by anything and everything. But I'm really trying to space out that time like we talked about a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Because we have so much to do, so much on our plate. I mean, I do delegate a lot of stuff, but I do need to do a lot of things. So I think for anybody that's listening, I think using this strategy will really tremendously help you get things done. Otherwise, the to-do list keeps piling and piling.
It does, Darsh. And just to add to that, it was a great question, is I also prioritize what is needed in the people requesting my time. And when I know I'm sewing into a new staff member, I know they're going to need a little bit more time, more patience, but eventually they're on their own, right? And now they become helpful. For a while, it's not, because you're like, but most people's attitude, they give up on building someone. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
See, and that is...
I should do that all the time.
Yeah, because like, oh, you know what, I'll just do it faster. Oh my gosh, why am I spending the money on this person? I could do it better. But see, here are your words. I can do it better.
Yeah.
Then you're not really ever going to build a business.
No.
You're not going to build a business that can be monetized and let alone bless anybody. This is me. And my whole process of my entire life has been to build, but the first part of my life was always people pleasing, and I didn't realize that. So I would come last. And I'm not going to name names where I think I learned that from, but irrelevant.
Yeah.
And then I said, wait a minute. I'm empty. I am broke. I have nothing left to give. Who am I good to? But now I am full. I am doing great. And not because things are great, it's just my perspective. But now my family, I have my daughter and son-in-law on one end of my world. I have my son and his wife on the other end of my world. And as a dad, as you know, I sit here and go, whoa, I am alive to already see the fruits of my labor. I'm not slowing down. I want to keep going. Everybody has their part. But I do encourage what you said is just keep looking at your schedule and go, you know what? This person's important, that person's important. And right now we have a team member that is starting to build up on the other side of this world that Cass and I are starting to really, put into. And it's great because today is their first day doing something. So I said something and Cassie says something like, it's like we're like proud parents, like, all right, but it feels great because we're changing lives.
Right.
And they're changing our lives. Because I'm able to be here with you doing the show because other people are doing things because of that reason.
Yes.
So I love
Absolutely.
that.
Yep.
And I have so one of the last two questions that I have for you, and this is a big one for me, is fast forward 5 years. You've reached some great financial success. Zane's seven. You're now a seasoned married man. What is a passion of yours? Your business is going well. What is another way you see yourself that you're gonna radically change and bless people's lives?
So in our industry, we have several different sets of builders and developers, right? Several different types of projects. And my goal has always been, how can we be the best? How can we beat the competition? How can we stand out? And slowly, I'm trying to implement changes in these developers and builders, telling them, hey, trends are changing, designs are changing, we need to keep up with it. So, it's a learning phase. It takes time to make changes, but 5 years from now, like I would love for all my clients and developers to basically put everything out. Like I don't want to leave anything on the table. I want to put out the best product, best homes that stand out and sell quickly, obviously.
Yeah.
So really focused on the quality, the design, and just uniqueness of the projects that we build. And if I can have my builders achieve that, it helps my brand as well because
Absolutely.
I'm representing them. I'm the face of all these projects because I'm meeting the buyers, I'm meeting the investors that are buying these properties. I want to be confident and I want to like be proud of all the projects that I'm selling. So to me, that's my goal is like be a perfect product that's out there. And it takes time, but I think we're slowly getting there.
Okay, so now, success is the accumulation of small, persistent habits. What are two or three habits or things that you need to continue to do or add to help this happen? Because I think this is something people can relate to in any business they're in. They have a goal, they have a vision. You're already doing well. You're already building a team. So is there anything that comes to mind? And I could share one of mine as well.
Sure.
That you feel are going to help this actually become. Because, I always talk to people, dreams are just that unless there's actions to make things happen for that to happen. So what are some of the steps that you're either going to amp up or add that come to your mind?
So three things. I go to a lot of different projects that are completed, like high end or really beautiful looking ones that I think I was like, oh, these guys have done a really good job. So I make all the attempts to check out those properties, those projects, talk to those builders. What have they done differently? How can I take that and share it with my clients, my developers, so we can implement those changes?
So what I'm hearing on that, so a practical step is studying those that are better than you.
Yes.
And I love that. And everybody watching or listening, hear that again. He is humble enough to say he's not the best, but he wants to be the best. But he constantly is growing, and I give you credit because, Daniel says it a lot. If I'm the smartest person in the room, there's something wrong, right? But then you're not learning. You feel you're set. So number one is go seek the best. Take what you can and bring it. So that's one. What's another one?
Number two, I occasionally go to random open houses with a hat on and a glasses on so I don't look like Darsh.
Like undercover boss.
Yeah, kind of just, and
Go
I go
scoop
to
it out.
yeah, I just kind of go to my own open house listings where other agents are hosting my listings, and I'll just act like a buyer. And I'll
Okay.
just kind of observe what they're saying. Are they talking about the property? Are they being professional? Is the house clean? Am I getting the right updates? On Monday, I get updates after the open houses.
I know. I get the emails with our updates, so thank you for that.
So that allows me to study who's doing a good job versus where we need to make changes, because these are all my listings and I'm responsible to sell them and respond to my clients who trusted me to put these on the market. So
I love it.
I just kind of see what is happening at these open houses because I want to make sure that these open houses are effective. We're meeting all our buyers at open houses.
Right.
So I want to make sure that we're always prepared. We have flyers on the island. We have drinks. We want to keep the buyers entertained. And if I see there's some adjustment that need to be made, I make that adjustment pretty
I
quickly.
love it. Well, you know, one of the brownstone ways that we live by is trust and verify. And we live by that code, right? People go, what is that code? I go, it's really simple. I'm going to trust that you're going to do what you said, but I'm going to verify that you did it.
Yeah.
And that goes to all of us.
Yeah.
That's why in our partnership we do that, in our company we do that, because we're human. Things happen. But if you just take that moment. So I love that you're doing that, because what you're doing is you're verifying that your team is doing what you worked hard to build.
Yeah.
So I love that. So number two, to me, a takeaway from that is just go verify what you're doing, correct it on the spot, which ultimately the right people will take good criticism and say, oh, Darsh, I didn't see that. Thank you for that. We'll make it better. And third,
Number three is like my mentors and people who I'm surrounded with. You are who you become when you're surrounded by like-minded individuals. Just for an example, last year I went for a lunch with Daniel and Mel. They saw I was completely burnt out, and I told them like I'm doing everything right because I can do better, like you said. And that was burning me out because I was doing everything. When you have such a big volume and amount of listings we have coming up and on the market, they basically said, do what you're good at and delegate things that you don't really need to do. And
Daniel's big on that.
yeah, and I took that advice, and I have great support. Barbie works with me on the operations side, and you might have seen her emails every now and then, but she's my right hand. Like, I can't survive without her. So like, she takes a lot of work off my plate. Spencer, who does like a lot of the marketing, site visits, and videography, and he's my go-to guy.
Yeah.
I can trust him with everything. So those two individuals help me stay sane and keep the business going smoothly. And obviously my wife, does the back end operations and a lot of the stuff that goes behind the scenes. So I've stepped away from a lot of the things, and it's actually made me more productive.
Correct.
And business has actually gotten better because now I trust people who are in my team and they get the things done, and I'm able to pass on the leads and more business to them. So again, it's a win-win for all of us.
100%.
And I just mentally and health-wise, I'm just in a way better position than I was last year.
Well, I love a shout out to Daniel and Lady Mel. And on that, so those are the three things that I feel for any business you guys are in listening are important across the board. And I want to add to that last one, because look, we have a saying internally in our family: release and receive. Sometimes you have to release things to receive better things, right? And a lot of that is people are scared to release anything. But to me, that's having faith. You release it. You're also giving opportunities. I feel like, look, I'm giving up something, but also I'm not going to let this person fail, because they're giving me the top things I asked for, which is honesty, communication, and effort. So I love that, because then you look back at a Spencer and go, man, they're growing and they're learning and they're doing all these things. And you feel really good about it, because you're like, I'm, by the blessings that I've been given, look at now, this person's feeding their family, this person's feeding their family. And believe me, right now, I need you to, I want to end on the last question officially with a quick little, what all you have on your plate. Because it's really impressive. And this isn't about bragging, Darsh. This is about people going, if this guy can have all that, love his wife, love his child, love his family, be a good person, then who am I to think that my life's so tough? You talked about 5 years of being bullied, not to mention English was good, but it's still your second language at that time, especially.
Yeah.
So this is a positive traction podcast. This is someone that's going to listen to this and go, okay, I just got to this country, or I feel like I'm out of this country because I don't relate to people. And as a matter of fact, one of my posts today was, don't worry about fitting in. Find your path. That's all it's about. So to me, before you kind of do a little spread, I know you have a new development partnership that you did, is what are the things now in today, in 2024, as we wrap up this part, that you want to tell anyone listening? What is your biggest takeaway where you feel you are as a person today? What is something that you carry strong to you?
You're going to hear a lot of no's. When I became a real estate agent, COVID hit, everything was shutting down. I would go to job sites, like under construction sites, and I would have no clue who owns the property or whatever. But I would just take donuts and coffee and just show up, right, to a lot of random construction sites. I did that for 3 to 4 months, right? And back then I didn't know like how to get a business, right? One builder kind of got sick of me being there every other day with donuts and just, you know, he's like, I'm kind of getting tired of you being here all the time. Here's your listing, go sell it. And it was under construction. I sold it, and he gave me 3 more listings, and then he referred me to other builders. That's how I got my start.
Okay, so let's. All right, everybody, did you hear what he just said? The guy got sick of it, so basically to shut you up and get you out of his face.
Yeah, he's like, just take the business, like, just prove
went,
yourself.
And you did it.
And I did it. And it was my first deal as a realtor, like with working with a builder. I had no experience.
Right.
I had no clue what framing means, like no understanding of what kind of installation. Like, I have no clue.
And mind you guys, we're in 2024. He started going, so that's only 4 years ago. And this goes back to one of his points, which is knowledge. And I think that's just awesome. This is why I love you sharing this, because I know you have a nice car, you do well. So people, again, are going to just see that. They're not going to open up the hood and look at everything. And this is everything. There's a lot of it. You're out there with donuts to job sites. What is framing? And I know firsthand now you are very good at some of these things we talk about. So firsthand, I could see that you're like talking. But again, it's because you went out there and got it.
Yeah.
This goes back to selling dog tags, walking dogs, you name it.
Gold teeth.
Go. So all you did was you took one, and I can relate because I love my gym years, and I would never change them for anything.
Yeah.
But I remember just one thing off topic, getting to a client at 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning. They didn't even text me they were going to come. And I remember being there, man, for 25, 30 bucks. I just gave up a half hour, an hour of my life. But you know what I would do? I would just sweep, clean.
Yep.
I would just go do something. Never complained.
Yep.
But now I've been blessed to say that same half hour, look what it's worth to me.
Yeah.
So I love that. So this guy shut you down, get out of here, but you went and did it, and look where you are. So your biggest thing is how to take no and do what with it.
Yeah. You're going to hear a lot of no's. All you need is one yes.
Oh, I love
and that one yes can turn into multiple yeses, and that's what's going to set you apart.
I love it. I love it. On that note, give us a little bit about all that's on your plate. It's out of humbleness, but let them have a taste of what we just all did. They listen to the show. You gave a lot of great practical points. And this is why I do love America, because it is available to all. Doesn't matter if your economic background, doesn't matter if you came from a rich home or you took every scholarship available. It's available. It's just a matter of you want it. So that being said, give us a quick little glimpse of all that's on your plate.
Well, right now we have about 15 properties on the market. When I say on the market, like they're done, completed, staged, listed on MLS.
Okay, so 15 right now, ready to have a buyer say, I want it. Okay.
And we try to do open houses for every single property every weekend on Saturday and Sunday, sometimes Fridays. So we host about 30 to 35 open houses every weekend.
And if you guys don't know, there's a lot that goes in an open house. You heard him, the way he likes to do it. And I know firsthand because he's representing a lot of our houses, what he does for each house. So it's not just like putting up, there's a lot goes in. So that's awesome. So you got that going. Next.
And then I have about 50 new construction listings coming up. Specs, like luxury specs. We try to sell everything prior to completion. Basically, once the permits are approved, we start marketing. Our marketing blasts go out to 18,000 agents every day at 9 a.m. without fail.
Yep.
And we have an open rate of 52%. So about 9,000 agents see my emails every day. So we get a lot of exposure for under construction off-market properties.
So I'm going to stop there. Guys, again, look what he's saying. He knows his business. It applies to all of us. He knew there's a 52 opening. He is paying attention to his details. Everyone goes, there is no luck. Luck is created by the hard work that we do persistently. Call it luck if you want at that point. So that's beautiful. Continue on. So you got 50 on that.
And then we have some larger developments. We're working on a 16-unit boutique community in Pflugerville. We have a 14-unit luxury townhome development coming up in 7804 in South Austin. And then we just partnered with big production builder Scott Felder Homes in Liberty Hill.
Liberty Hills.
We took over that community that has 1 acre lots on.
I saw that.
1 acre lots, luxury homes. So we're slowly starting to expand. I brought in Brad Giles, who's been in commercial banking industry for a long time, and he has a lot of connections with a lot of big production builders. So again, I'm bringing on the right agents that help not just me grow, but also help them grow. They may not have the experience of selling new construction, but I have that and they have the connection. So once we kind of connect together, and once I put myself in front of these builders, we get those listings, and then I kind of just give it to my teammates. So kind of like learning and growing together.
Well, again, it's because you've established the right product, which is you and how you do business. You've created the right process, which you talk about numbers, analytics, and now you're putting the right people around you. And that's growth. But see, the hat you're living at, and I'm happy to say that you are blessed, you know it, and now you're blessing others. Well, Darsh, I love everything you've shared. I know, that the audience that watches this or that listens, you gave great real steps to where you are today, to where you want to go. But also what I love about our similarities and our friendship is it's the people you do life with. That's what matters. So I love that. I want to thank you for your time today, for, making it a temple to have this conversation, because I know the future Spencers, the future people that are just starting out there in the world are going to go, you know what, I can do this. So I love that. Well, I want to thank you again for being on the show. I really love hearing your full story within reason, what you shared. And till next time, we'll definitely do another episode.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Everybody, thank you so much for being again in tune with Darsh today, making things happen. You can see now why that was a nickname that sticks. I know it doesn't flow, but he makes it flow. I appreciate his friendship. And thank you for watching and listening. And till next time, have a blessed day.